YNW Melly's bond hearing turned into a dramatic courtroom clash when the judge unexpectedly lashed out at him and his legal team during the proceedings.
Okay, I didn't ask him. I don't understand your complete behavior, speaking out of turn, yelling at some of the best entry.
Did this fiery courtroom clash just shatter YNW Melly's shot at freedom after being locked up for 6 long years? With tensions hitting a boiling point and the death penalty looming over his head, this explosive moment might change everything for the Florida rapper. The truth behind this intense bond hearing is straight up wild, so let's dive into it. Before we spill all the tea about what went down in court, let's keep it real about who YNW Melly is. Born Jamel Maurice Demons, the young rapper has been behind bars since February 2019. He's facing 2 first-degree murder charges for allegedly killing his close friends, Anthony Williams, aka YNW Sack Chaser, and Christopher Thomas Jr., aka YNW Juvie, back in October 2018. Prosecutors claim that Melly and his friend Cortland Henry, YNW Bortland, shot both men inside a car in Miramar, Florida, and then tried to stage it like a drive-by. Melly's first trial ended in July 2023 with a hung jury, and now his second trial is locked in for September 10, 2025. Ahead of that showdown, his legal team has been pushing hard to get him out on bail, and this recent hearing was their second attempt since the mistrial. According to court filings, the defense has been prepping this new motion since November 2024, claiming that a lot has changed since Melly was first arrested. So what really went down on May 6, 2025? The bond hearing kicked off with Judge David Porter reviewing all the past motions in Melly's case. The vibe in the courtroom was thick with tension as both sides prepared to make their arguments. Melly's defense team, led by attorneys, Mr. Benjamin and Ms. Liberty, came in swinging, presenting a bold plan to convince the judge their client deserves a shot at release.
This is on top and bottom. On page 4, this is David Porter versus Jamel Demons, 19-1872 CFA, 23-10594 CFA. That Ms. Collins, Mr. Griffiths, Mr. Silvershine present for the state. I've got Mr. Lee, Mr. Adelson, Mr. Benjamin.
Things heated up fast when Melly's defense tried to introduce testimony from a new expert witness, Dr. Cuthbert, who had apparently just been added to the team. But the prosecution wasn't having it. They quickly objected, arguing that they hadn't received proper notice or any of the documents or reports she might have prepared.
First 6 and 2 days, 1, we asking to remove frustration, and 2, we're going to object to doctoral testimony. It's because she was noticed to take less than 36 hours ago. She's going to be testifying as an expert. We don't know what documents she was relying upon. We don't know what materials she was given to review. We could provide command reports in order to get the substance of the testimony.
The judge ultimately sided with the prosecution and blocked Dr. Cuthbert from testifying, a tough blow for Melly's defense team. With their expert witness off the table, they were forced to pivot and rely solely on legal arguments, completely shifting their strategy mid-hearing. One of the biggest points of tension during the proceedings centered around suppressed evidence. Back on December 21, 2023, Judge John Murphy issued an order tossing out certain pieces of evidence that were gathered in violation of Melly's constitutional rights. Now, the defense argued that this suppressed evidence had no place in the bond hearing, while the prosecution pushed hard to keep it on the table.
I wouldn't call it an exclusionary rule, but I'm saying it should not be considered by the court because the court, the law in this case is it was suppressed and it cannot be used by the state in any way.
After a fiery back and forth, Judge Porter handed a win to Melly's defense, ruling that he wouldn't consider any evidence previously tossed out by Judge Murphy. This was a major victory for Melly's legal team, as it meant certain damaging pieces of evidence would be off the table when it came to the bail decision. From there, the hearing dove deep into the details of exactly what evidence had been suppressed. Both sides dissected multiple warrants tied to Melly's social media accounts, phone records, and other digital data. The prosecution and defense spent a good chunk of time hashing out which pieces were still fair game and which ones had been officially shut down by the suppression order. One of the biggest bombshells during this exchange was the revelation that the cell site location data from October 26, 2018, the day the alleged murders took place, was still in play. That meant this potentially incriminating evidence could still influence the judge's decision on whether Melly would be granted bail.
Cell site location information
Remains
from October 26, 2018. None of that.
correct.
With the suppressed evidence sorted out, both sides went all in on debating the proof evident presumption great standard, a key legal hurdle in bail hearings for capital cases like Melly's. Under Florida law, if the evidence of guilt is strong and the presumption of guilt is great, a defendant can be held without bail. But even if those standards are met, the judge still has the discretion to grant bail under exceptional circumstances. The prosecution argued that their case against Melly remained solid, even without the suppressed evidence. They leaned heavily on the remaining admissible evidence, including cell tower location data, ballistics, and conflicting statements made by Melly's co-defendant, Cortland Henry, claiming it was more than enough to keep Melly behind bars.
Certainly, Judge, and that's the case law provided in the court. There's actually a presumption of correctness as to Judge Murphy's order that there was proof evident presumption great. So really what the court is considering now is just effectively has that suppressed evidence that the court is now considering change the state's position where proof evidence is no longer present. We believe that proof evidence still remains strongly present because, as the court was noting, all the information from the day of the homicide remains.
The defense fired back with several hard-hitting arguments. First, they pointed out that the jury in Melly's first trial couldn't reach a unanimous verdict, a clear sign, they argued, that the evidence wasn't nearly as strong as the prosecution claimed. They also put Detective Mark Moretti under the spotlight, accusing him of attempting to suborn perjury, which cast serious doubt on the integrity of the investigation. On top of that, the defense raised concerns about new search warrants obtained after Judge Murphy's suppression order, suggesting that the prosecution was bending the rules and trying to work around the court's previous decision.
For the purposes of the proof evidence presumption great judgment, I have some background. I know there's nobody on the couple. If I could judge, I believe that the rulings by Judge Murphy, that starting with the testimony of Michelle Boutros, which the Judge Murphy ordered the state that when she testifies, they cannot cross-examine her in any further proceedings. The state appealed it on a motion, on a appeal, a writ of some sort, I forgot which one. And that was, and I attached it to my supplement. The fourth denied their seeking relief on that issue.
The defense then rolled out their proposed conditions for Melly's release. They recommended a low monetary bond paired with strict safeguards. Melly would live at a new undisclosed residence with zero access to firearms, wear a GPS ankle monitor, and be under 24/7 surveillance by a professional security team. The defense argued that these conditions would protect public safety, ensure Melly appears for all court dates, and uphold the integrity of the judicial process.
So, the conditions in the jail aren't good. He's been there 6 years, Judge. The Constitution says everybody gets the presumption of innocence. 6 years. We're going now past 6 years. He has substantial ties to the community. His mom, his grandma, his sister, his brother, his friends, his grandpa, they're all here supporting him. The special conditions are there, and that's what we get out of the different case law. That proof evidence great, that's one thing. You go to the second. Are there special conditions that we can put in place to protect those three things? Make sure he's present here.
The prosecution wasn't convinced. They doubled down on the severity of the charges, 2 counts of first-degree murder, and also highlighted past allegations of witness tampering involving Melly. They argued that the risk of him fleeing was extremely high, especially with the death penalty on the table. Prosecutors pointed out that if Melly fled the country, many nations wouldn't extradite him back due to the possibility of capital punishment, making him a serious flight risk.
The concern is if he goes somewhere where he cannot be returned. As the court has repeatedly pointed out, Mr. Demmons is charged with the death penalty. Many countries in the world will not extradite back to the United States if they are facing the death penalty here.
The defense pushed back hard against the prosecution's concerns, arguing that the strict security measures they proposed would make it virtually impossible for Melly to flee. They also pointed out that Melly's record label was fully prepared to cover whatever monetary bond the court might set, reinforcing their claim that he had the support and resources to comply with all conditions of release.
So, as to your comment, in light of my client's popularity, we opted not to put somebody on to give you the address where he'd be living at. We were going to proffer, I would give that in camera as far as where he would live at. He would be residing with his sister and with his brother. Give you the address. We would have the security detail. All of that can be given to you in camera. As far as the second amount, his record label would be if there was a monetary bond in place. His record label is agreeing to put the monetary bond up for him. So the financials would be covered because it would be coming from his record.
As the hearing wrapped up, Judge Porter thanked both sides for their arguments and said he would take some time to carefully review everything before making a decision on Melly's bail request. He didn't specify when he'd announce his ruling, leaving both Melly's legal team and the prosecution hanging in suspense. The outcome of the hearing quickly sparked a buzz across social media. On May 8, 2025, reports surfaced claiming that Melly had been granted a $500,000 bond for one of the 6 charges he faces. However, this wouldn't be enough to get him out, since he would need to post bond on all charges to secure his release. According to XXL magazine, the judge is expected to rule on the full bail request in the coming days. As of now, fans and legal watchers are on edge, waiting to see whether YNW Melly will finally taste freedom after 6 years locked up or remain behind bars until his retrial in September. This bail hearing is just one chapter in a long and complex legal saga that has followed Melly for years, with stakes higher than ever: temporary freedom before trial or continued incarceration with the looming threat of the death penalty. Melly's legal troubles run deeper than many fans realize. While his current case centers on the 2018 double murder charges, his run-ins with the law started much earlier. Back in October 2015, when he was only 16, Jamel Demons was charged with shooting near Vero Beach High School in Florida. Reports say he fired shots at 3 students near the school grounds. Thankfully, no one was injured, but Melly was hit with 3 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and 1 count of discharging a firearm in public.
Yeah, I had went to jail for the school shooting thing I did.
School shooting thing?
Yeah, I was shooting about school.
Melly was convicted and spent about a year in juvenile detention, where he earned his GED. This early incident resurfaced during his rise to fame when an interrogation video from his arrest leaked in 2023, revealing a tense exchange between a young Melly and the police. In a 2019 interview, Melly opened up about the school shooting incident, explaining that it stemmed from a situation involving a firearm he had brought to school, which was allegedly taken by someone else.
Yeah, and then it was just I thought the nigga had my gun, you know what I'm saying? I had brought it to school one day, then he told that I had that bitch at school, and then he fought. I guess he had his homeboys follow me. And I guess when I went to the office to get searched, they came back, they doubled back and had the pistol. I ain't never pay attention to it because I was still trying to find out who the fuck had my shit till one day I found out they had my shit. And the next day I had busted.
Wow.
After getting out of juvie, Melly kept running into legal trouble. In 2017, he violated probation and ended up serving several months behind bars. Then, on June 30th, 2018, he was arrested in Fort Myers, Florida, for weed possession, carrying a firearm as a convicted felon, and possession of drug paraphernalia. Just a few months later, on January 3, 2019, police caught him again in Fort Myers for having some drugs on him. But these minor charges pale in comparison to what's kept him locked up for the last 6 years. On February 13, 2019, Melly turned. himself in after being charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder for the October 26, 2018 deaths of Anthony Williams, YNW Sack Chaser, and Christopher Thomas Jr., YNW Juvie. The alleged circumstances behind the murders have been heavily scrutinized. According to the DA's office, Melly and Cortland Henry, YNW Bortland, shot Williams and Thomas inside a Jeep SUV, then staged the scene to look like the victims were caught in a drive-by shooting. Prosecutors claim the two drove around with the bodies in the vehicle before taking them to a hospital and feeding authorities a false story. The prosecution's case hinges on forensic evidence, including cell phone location data, ballistics analysis, and blood spatter patterns. They argue this evidence clearly shows the shots were fired from inside the car, contradicting the defendant's drive-by narrative. The state's theory about the motive has shifted over time, but often points to gang connections. Prosecutors allege Melly is affiliated with the G-Shine Bloods and that the murders were tied to benefiting the gang. During the first trial, gang expert Danny Polo testified about gang-related language found in Melly's text messages, suggesting the rapper was recruited by gang members. Text messages introduced in court revealed tension between Melly and Sack Chaser in the months leading up to the murders. In August 2018, about 2 months before the killings, Melly allegedly asked his mom for a firearm amid conflicts with Sack Chaser's family. Other messages hinted at internal drama within the YNW crew, with Sack Chaser feeling sidelined despite being an original member. One especially damaging piece of evidence was an Instagram message where Melly allegedly wrote, "I did that shot to someone named Peasy Gambino after the murders." The defense disputed this, arguing the spelling didn't match how Melly typically types. The case against Melly has been tangled with legal battles and drama. One major development came in December 2023, when Judge John Murphy issued a suppression order throwing out certain evidence obtained in violation of Melly's constitutional rights. As revealed during the May 6, 2025 bail hearing, this order mainly affected evidence outside the immediate timeline of the murders, especially anything that could link Melly to gang activity or motives. The legal saga took another twist in October 2023, when prosecutor Christine Bradley was removed from the case amid allegations she withheld information about Detective Mark Moretti's credibility. Testimony during the bail hearing referenced a witness, Michelle Brose, who claimed to have seen Detective Moretti trying to suborn perjury, raising serious questions about the investigation's integrity. Adding fuel to the fire, Melly's defense. Team discovered in late April 2025 that the prosecution had obtained new search warrants covering much of the same evidence suppressed by Judge Murphy's order. These warrants, signed by a different judge, Judge Bober, in March 2024, were only disclosed to the defense days before the bail hearing. The defense called this forum shopping and argued it was a clear example of prosecutorial misconduct.
Concerning this case, that appears was in their possession for at least a year, if not longer. And as you're looking at those, at the defendant's exhibit, positive exhibit 1, okay. I want you to know that if you look at the docket sheet, it took us 4 hours to organize the warrants because they were commingled. Warrant number 1 had pages from warrant number 2 or 3. And it literally took Mr. Benjamin's judicial assistant, like the promoter, 4 hours to commingle all those pages because originally they came in so convoluted.
The first trial, which began in June 2023, ultimately ended in a mistrial on July 22, 2023, after the jury failed to reach a unanimous verdict. Later reports revealed the jury was split 9-3 in favor of manslaughter convictions rather than the first-degree murder charges the prosecution was pushing. The deliberations were reportedly chaotic, with allegations that one juror used homophobic slurs during the process. Following the mistrial, additional charges were brought against Melly in October 2023 for witness tampering. Prosecutors claimed He had enlisted Blood's gang members to intimidate his ex-girlfriend, Mariah Hamilton, and her mother, Felicia Holmes, to prevent them from testifying. This alleged scheme involved phone calls and letters coordinated through another inmate, Terrence Mathisi, with around 60 coded calls exchanged between Mathisi and YNW Bortland, discussing how to keep the witnesses from appearing in court. The defense pushed back hard against these allegations during the bail hearing, arguing they were strategically timed to coincide with previous bail requests and lacked legal merit, since Mariah Hamilton was never legally required to testify at Melly's trial. Another contentious issue in the case is Florida's death penalty law, which the prosecution is attempting to apply against Melly. In 2023, Florida changed its death penalty rules to allow a sentence based on an 8-4 jury recommendation, moving away from the previous requirement of unanimity. This change has sparked constitutional concerns and could have a major impact on Melly's case if he is convicted at retrial. Throughout the ordeal, Melly has maintained his innocence, though he has generally avoided making detailed public statements about the charges. His music, especially the track Murder on My Mind, which was released before the murders, has come under intense scrutiny, with prosecutors even attempting to use his lyrics against him in court.
Shit, I was in these apartments at first in Orangewood, and I moved to like Whisper Palm, some little like Mexican houses.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
Interestingly, in a 2019 interview shortly after being released from a previous jail stint, Melly revealed that he had written "Murder on My Mind" while he was behind bars.
Yeah, but
So Murder on My Mind, when did you write that, and what was going on in your head when
the
you wrote
first
it?
time I got locked up.
You wrote it while you were in jail?
Yeah. But I
Okay.
ain't trying to even talk about that either.
It was too crazy?
Yeah, it wasn't really, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I made it when I was locked up there.
Mm-hmm. And then what, you got out for a little while and you were able to record it and put it out?
Yeah.
And then you went in again because they were mad about the song?
Yeah.
Melly also opened up about losing hope during his time in jail and how his faith became a crucial source of strength that helped him keep going.
When you were in jail, did you feel like, were you ever at a point where you felt like all hope was lost?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah. When I first got locked up, because I ain't know what they was gonna do. I ain't know. I thought, damn. I was so young. I ain't know. I was like, damn. This before I made Murder on My Mind, I was like, man, hell no. They finna give me a year. Yeah, and some extra time and shit. Damn, they gonna forget about mine.
With the retrial now scheduled for September 10th, 2025, all eyes are on the upcoming bail decision expected any day. If granted full bail, Melly would get his first taste of freedom since February 2019, though it would come with strict conditions. If denied, he'll remain locked up for at least another 4 months until the retrial begins. The artist and the aftermath-born Jamal Maurice Demons on May 1st, 1999 in Gifford, Florida, YNW Melly grew up in tough circumstances, though he's kept details about his upbringing relatively low-key in interviews. The small town of Gifford, about an hour from Orlando, isn't exactly known for producing stars. In his own words, "Nobody make it out of there. Nobody even knows about it. I don't feel like." Melly's musical journey started early, around 8th grade, when he began making tracks with basic equipment. In an interview, he described his first recording setup as just a mic with a hanger in front of that YARF stuff with a wig cap on it in his friend's room. Despite those humble beginnings, Melly immediately felt a deep connection to music, saying, "I was always like making sure my craft was perfect. You know what I'm saying? Always. I had to stay on it." His musical influences reveal an artist with a surprisingly diverse taste beyond what many might expect from a trap or drill rapper. While he named Lil Wayne, Future, and Young Thug as inspirations, he also expressed admiration for artists like Michael Jackson, Ed Sheeran, Adele, and Juice WRLD, showing a broad musical palette that would later shape his melodic style in rap.
I started rapping in 8th grade. I was listening like Michael Jackson, Lil Wayne, Future, Chris Brown, Ed Sheeran.
Little Ed Sheeran.
You know what I'm saying? I think he was out there now. I don't know.
Melly's unique style and image initially made him stand out in his high school. As he put it, "At first, it was weird. Like everybody thought I was weird. But then I started dressing different from everybody and doing other things. They like my sound. They like the way I dressed, you know what I'm saying? His big break came with the release of Murder on My Mind in March 2017, a track that later took on an eerie significance given the murder charges that followed. The song highlights Melly's distinctive melodic style, featuring sung vocals that stood out from the more aggressive delivery typical of Florida's rap scene at the time. While Murder on My Mind remains his biggest hit, YNW Melly kept building. His catalog with projects like his debut commercial mixtape, I Am, 2018, and We All Shine, 2019. The latter included the track Mixed Personalities, featuring Kanye West, a high-profile collaboration that marked Melly's rising status in the industry just before his arrest. In a 2019 interview, Melly described working with Kanye as awesome and super mega awesome cool, revealing they had recorded multiple songs together beyond just Mixed Personalities. When asked about the unusual robot imagery in the music video, Melly explained it symbolized his multiple personalities.
How many personalities do you have?
6.
6?
Yeah.
What are the 6?
I can only reveal 3.
This theme of multiple personalities has been a recurring element throughout Melly's career. In that same interview, he revealed he has 6 distinct personalities, though he only shared details about 3: Melly, Melvin, and Marcus. He described Melvin as someone who doesn't play games and is confrontational, while Marcus represents the loving side of his personality, the part that comes out when Melly tries to blend in and act like a regular person.
I don't make Kodak Black kids.
You said what?
They Kodak Black kids. I'm just different. I got my own shit going on.
You do. Sonically, for sure.
I ain't trying to be like nobody else. You could tell I'm from Florida, but you can't, you know what I'm saying? You can't compare me to nobody unless you compare me career-wise with Kodak.
As of May 10th, 2025, YNW Melly has spent over 6 years behind bars without a conviction. This incredibly long pre-trial confinement has sparked serious questions about his constitutional right to a speedy trial, though the complex nature of capital cases and delays caused by the COVID-19 pandemic have played a role. Reports about the conditions of his confinement suggest they've been harsh. During the bail hearing, his attorneys hinted that he's been kept in 23-1 conditions, meaning 23 hours locked in his cell with just 1 hour outside daily. While the judge didn't allow this to be entered as evidence without proper testimony, this treatment is unfortunately common for high-profile inmates. If Melly is granted bail, his defense team has outlined strict supervision plans, including living with family members, GPS monitoring, and 24-hour security. His record label has reportedly agreed to cover any monetary bond, showing they still see him as a valuable artist despite his long absence from the rap game. The possibility of Melly getting out on bail has caused a buzz among fans. On May 6th to 8th, 2025, social media exploded with speculation about his freedom. Reputable hip-hop outlets like XXL Magazine and Hip Hop DX reported that a bail decision was expected soon. However, confusion arose when accounts such as SEISDGTL claimed Melly had secured a $500,000 bond for one of 6 charges. Later, clarifications confirmed that this wouldn't actually free him unless bonds were posted for all charges. If Melly does get bail, it would be his first taste of freedom since February 2019. In that time, the hip-hop scene has shifted dramatically. Some of his peers have risen to superstardom, others faded away, and the world itself has transformed through the COVID-19 pandemic, technological advances, and cultural changes. Melly, however, has experienced all of this through the lens of incarceration. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, click one of the boxes on your screen to check out more similar content.